Joining me now are two law professors, former U.S. Attorney Barbara McQuade and Washington Post contributing columnist Natasha Sarin. Natasha has also counseled the then Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. So, Barb, this order says the OPM cannot directly lay off federal employees. However, individual agencies can. What's the difference there?
Well, the Office of Personnel Management is a management organization. They are not the bosses of these individuals. And so when they directed the termination of these employees, they lacked authority to do that. Only the agencies themselves have the authority to do that. Now, maybe it is ultimately a distinction without a difference. If they suggest to the agencies that they terminate these employees and then the agencies themselves do this, perhaps that is lawful. You know, Jose, this reminds me an awful lot of Donald Trump's first travel ban. Remember when there was chaos at the borders, 5 days after he had taken office, he issued this thing that said travelers from certain countries could not come into the United States. And it was an absolute mess. And it took him 3 tries until he was able to achieve what he wanted to through a lawful order. It strikes me as something very similar. Ultimately, if he wants to fire probationary employees in the federal government, he probably can do that. But it is going to take a few rounds of figuring it out, how to do it at the right level before he can be successful in executing this plan.
And Natasha, for the first time ever, a DOJ employee is being ordered to provide written discovery and will be deposed. It's in a lawsuit over attempted access to sensitive information, Labor Department systems. How significant is this step toward DOJ transparency?
Yeah, I mean, big picture, kind of what is striking about what's happening right now is you have DOJ and you have Elon Musk as kind of this unelected and basically unchecked set of powers in the federal government that are reshaping the government in such meaningful ways. It's around data access. It's around, as Barbara's talking about, these massive sweeping changes to who works in the federal government. It's around whether or not the federal government is going to appropriate dollars that Congress says should go to particular people or to particular countries. And that all of that is just an incredibly difficult challenge for the challenge is not just whether the government can do this and whether the executive can do this. As Barbara points out, it's how they're doing it and how they're going about this. And you've seen 35-plus legal challenges across the country. I suspect many more are to come.
Yeah, I mean, this whole issue of the unelected powers, I mean, Elon Musk is put in and chosen by the president of the United States, and those efforts are in his name, right? I mean, but I know that you worked in the Treasury Department. You say there's no legitimate reason DOJ should access federal payment systems if the goal is to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. Why not?
I mean, you've heard this from Musk and from DOJ that we need access to the pipes of government, these data systems that contain incredibly sensitive information, people's social security numbers. At the IRS, it's people's historical tax returns and all of the information about their interactions with the agency. And the purported claim is that they're trying to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Totally reasonable to be concerned about waste, fraud, and abuse. It's just this is not where you go if that is your concern. And giving political actors, not just about the legality of this, the sort of privacy concerns associated with giving political actors this incredibly sensitive information about each and every American, there is real risk to the way that the federal government works and real impacts that are going to happen to households and people when, for example, tax refunds are delayed because of a particular mistake in a particular set of computer code that someone who had no business being in it because they're not trained and don't have the relevant experience doesn't understand, or Social Security payments that don't make their way to households because of those sorts of issues.
Natasha, how is it that, I guess, you know, how do you carry out a restructuring of the federal system, if not by going in and finding out where there is possible abuse, fraud, or just misuse of funds? I mean, when was the last time that we all heard about programs, tens of millions of dollars going to programs that maybe, just maybe, would not be the priority of this administration or any other? In other words, if nothing has been done in the past, why not focus on how things are being done now, making sure that there is no trampling of individual rights?
So I am very sympathetic to the idea that there needs to be government reform. I'm super sympathetic to the idea that we need to do more to combat waste, fraud, and abuse. The problem, and the Treasury payment system is a really good example of this, and DOJ's attempt to access that system is a really good example. That payment system at Treasury, I worked on payments-related issues in the department for 2 years. I was nowhere near this data system. The reason is that this data system and this infrastructure is incredibly mechanical. It is literally like agencies have told the Treasury and the Bureau of Fiscal Service dollars need to get out to these individuals, to these government contractors, and essentially the Bureau of Fiscal Service is the one cutting the checks. It's not legal, nor is it proper for the Bureau of Fiscal Service to be the one, nor do they have the information to try to say, oh, am I making the right payments? That is an agency question. And so if you want to go after and try to pursue the ways in which some of these programs might be structured such that people are getting access to funds that they shouldn't be, the relevant thing to do is to be doing that exercise at the agency level. And that's not what's happening with DOJ. What they're doing is they're decimating agencies, so they're making it harder to identify cases of fraud. And what they're doing is trying to tell the Bureau of Fiscal Service, don't issue those payments, which is something they frankly have no legal authority to be doing.
And Barbara, talk about legal authority and the relevance of, what do you think the relevance are, the courts are in this particular discussion, when it really is the Congress and the executive and the differences and responsibilities they each have?
Yeah, such a good point. Congress has the power of the purse. Congress has the power to say, we want to spend money on this thing. And then the president's job is to take care that the laws be faithfully executed by spending the money as described. There's even an anti-impoundment clause in the Constitution that says the president doesn't get to hold all the money. The president is supposed to faithfully distribute the money as Congress has deemed fit. But you ask about the rules of the court, and that is, if the president is not doing his job to faithfully spend the money the way Congress has said he should, then it's the role of the courts to step in, and that's what we're seeing.